The violet dusk of Arcturus 7 hung heavy in the sky, two suns sinking slowly beyond the jagged Cerulean mountains. The air shimmered with heat haze, refracting the last rays of light into dancing fractals across the crystalline city of Elysera. Smooth spires of native bioglass rose in concentric circles around the grand pavilion, each one pulsing with a soft, inner glow that radiated in time with the planet's gentle magnetic hum. Here, in this city of light and resonant sound, the Elythian Council prepared to greet their first representatives from Earth. Ambassador Yara Solon stood just beyond the pavilion's entrance, her dark hair pulled into a tight braid, her posture poised yet brimming with excitement. Her translator implant tickled her ear in anticipation, ready to convert the Elythian harmonics, an intricate weaving of musical tones and subtle, subsonic vibrations into something human minds could grasp. Armed with years of xenolinguistic study and dozens of simulated dialogues, she still felt the familiar flutter of nerves. Beside her, Ambassador-designate Li Wei adjusted the fine seams of his formal suit, the fabric woven with smart threads that monitored his vitals. He squared his shoulders, drawing in a deep breath of the planet's warm, sweet-scented breeze. On Mars and at lunar outposts, he had negotiated resource treaties and border disputes, but nothing prepared him for this, the moment humanity reached beyond its solar cradle to stand among another civilization. Behind them, the grand pavilion itself seemed almost alive. Its walls thick, transparent membranes of synthetic crystal shifted in tint and opacity with the council's mood. Once welcoming, now tinged with curiosity. Once curious, now bright with anticipation. The marble floor beneath their polished boots resonated with the footsteps of Elythian honor guards, their lithe forms clad in flowing robes, textured like liquid metal. Bioluminescent veins traced patterns over their skin, pulsing gently as a sign of both greeting and respect. High above, in geostationary orbit, drifted Earth's jaw, dropping gift and burden, the ISS Leviathan. From a distance, the battleship looked like a dark, gleaming crescent, studded with turrets and antennae the size of buildings. Terraforma Industries touted it as the escorted defense cruiser, but on fringe broadcasts and in whispered conversations, it was known by a darker name, the Planet Killer. Armed with gravitic warheads capable of cracking moons in half, and an array of directed energy weapons that could strip the atmosphere from a world, it embodied the paradox of human expansion, our hope of friendship tethered to an ever-present potential for violence. Inside the pavilion's central chamber, Ambassador Solon and Li Wei ascended a gentle ramp of floating platforms, their every step accompanied by subtle chords that emanated from unseen speakers. At the top, 5 Elythian counselors awaited them upon a dais sculpted of pure light. The largest, an elder whose translucent form glittered like a morning frost, regarded them with a serene curiosity. His voice, when it came, rippled like a glass harp. "Welcome, delegates of Earth. We are honored that your world's leaders have accepted our invitation." Solon inclined her head with a diplomatic smile. "Esteemed counselors, we bring Earth's respect and a sincere desire for understanding. We thank you for this opportunity to meet and learn from one another." Li Wei followed with a nod, his voice firm yet warm. "Our worlds are separated by vast distances and rich differences, yet we share life's fundamental aspirations: peace, knowledge, and the chance to flourish." A soft chorus of approval rippled through the chamber, the walls shifting to a gentle cerulean hue. Flowers of light bloomed overhead, petals unfurling across the vaulted ceiling in a slow, hypnotic ballet. Translator implants crackled faintly as the Elythian response's complex harmonies, subharmonic undertones, and even gentle mechanical clicks streamed into the ambassador's neural interfaces. Solon captured fragments of meaning, hospitality, curiosity, cautious optimism. Yet even as the two delegations exchanged pleasantries, the sky outside darkened. Solon felt it first as a subtle drop in temperature. The bioluminescent veins on the counselor's robes pulsed faster. Li Wei's translator flickered, struggling to parse a sudden, alarming undercurrent in the Elythian language. Warning. Through the pavilion's transparent walls, they saw it, the ISS Leviathan, slipping silently from orbit. Its engine roars, ignited with a muted thunder, casting an eerie orange glow across the city. In that instant, trillions of tons of steel and weaponry hovered miles above the planet, a silent sentinel that had turned sentinel no more, but specter. Gasps swelled. In the chamber, the honor guard shifted, their bioluminescence racing down their arms in fractal arrays. The elder raised a hand, and the crystalline walls rippled, focusing like high-precision lenses. Outside, Elythian defense turrets' sleek towers of iridescent alloy slewed upwards, tracking the arrival. Their barrels charged with crackling energy, waiting for a command. Solon's heart pounded. She raised her voice, struggling to maintain calm. "Esteemed counselors, please, this is no threat. The Leviathan accompanies us to ensure the safety of all parties. It is a symbol of Earth's capability to protect, not to destroy." But as if in response, the battleship's shields thrummed to life, bathing the pavilion in shifting waves of violet light. The Elythian defense batteries flared, a web of blue discharge snapping toward the ship. Each bolt danced across the Leviathans, hull and vanished against shimmering force fields. Li Wei placed a steady hand on Solon's arm. "Let me speak," he said quietly, then stepped forward. "Understand that on Earth, power must be shown before it can be trusted. Our leaders instruct us to demonstrate our strength so that you may have faith in our commitment to peace." The elder's crystalline form glowed brighter. His reply cut through the growing tension like a blade. "Peace is built on trust, not fear. We waited for diplomats, but you sent the hammer before the handshake. If you wish friendship, you must first show restraint." A silence fell. Outside, the Leviathan hovered, engines humming as though ready to descend at a moment's notice. Inside, the Elythian Council held its ground, expecting a test of humanity's true intent. Ambassador Solon inhaled deeply and turned to the pavilion's controls. With a subtle gesture, she deactivated the visual feed of the Leviathan. "Please," she implored, voice steady but urgent, "allow us to withdraw our shield. Let words, not weapons, be the first to bridge our worlds." Moments stretched into an eternity. The elder's form flickered. The defense batteries around them lowered, their energy flickering out like spent fireflies. Finally, in tones both melodic and weighty with consequence, he intoned, "Very well, Earth's emissaries. We will lay down arms and meet in good faith. But know this, should you raise the hammer again, you will find no forgiveness in our hearts." As the crystalline walls shifted back to their welcoming glow and the shimmer of the pavilion's flowers resumed their rhythmic dance, Solon and Li Wei met each other's eyes. In that charged stillness, they understood the precarious tightrope they now walked. At this moment, peace teetered on the edge of that silent welcome. Its fate hung between the hammer in orbit and the handshake below. The moment the Elythian defense batteries powered down, Ambassador Yara Solon felt a ripple of relief wash through her. The crystalline walls of the grand pavilion reverted to their soft cerulean hue, and the floating petals overhead drifted more gently in their aerial garden. Yet beneath the serene facade, tension crackled like static and unspoken question. What would Earth do next? Outside, the ISS Leviathan hovered like an obsidian moth caught in the planet's gravity well. Massive ion thrusters glowed pale, blue as they held station, and drifting sprake and drones clung to its hull like barnacles, performing hull integrity scans. Far below, The city's defense turrets had recoiled into resting posture, their barrels angling earthward with mechanical reluctance. Inside the pavilion's war room, Captain Amina Kaid stood before a bank of holo displays. She watched streams of tactical data shield matrix integrity, power node allocation, turret RP Ms, while the echo of Earth Command's last transmission still rang in her ears. Demonstrate capacity. Do not fire unless fired upon. Lieutenant. Suresh paced behind her, fingers drumming on the railing. Captain, we're sitting ducks up here. The Alithians just saw every throwable bit of ordnance we have. They'll know we could crush them at any moment. Amina's jaw tightened. I know what we look like, Suresh. But if we threaten them, we lose everything we came to achieve. Diplomacy isn't negotiation through intimidation. It's negotiation through vulnerability. Below on Arcturus, the seventh surface, Ambassador Li Wei and Solon conferred with the Lithian liaison officer Seshel Akoa, tall figure whose filigreed skin glowed in waves of lavender light whenever it spoke. The terrace overlooking the city's heart offered a breathtaking panorama. Gardens of phosphorescent ferns, glass bridges arching between towers, and the double suns dipping behind distant ridges. Solon turned to Seshel, her voice lowered. They're maintaining shields at 40% capacity, enough to hover, but not to descend. We need you to tell them to stand down completely, or our negotiations will stall. Seshel's bioluminescence dimmed in thought. The Council fears a false withdrawal. If Earth's battleship truly wants peace, it must deactivate all defensive systems, shields, weapons targeting, even its sensor drones, for a full orbital cycle. Li Wei's eyes widened. An orbital cycle is 14 Earth hours. That's practically a day of helplessness for the Leviathan. Seshel inclined. Its head. Trust is measured in days here, Ambassador. Only then will the Council accept you as equals. Back in the control room, Amina watched as the shield status indicator ticked down. 40, 30, 20, 10. Until at last the bar vanished. Shields offline, reported Ensign Malik, whose face was pale beneath the kerchief he wore around his neck. Disengage weapon targeting arrays, Amina ordered. On the holo displays, the reticles winked off one by one. The massive turrets rotated back into their stowed positions. A final confirmation flashed. Defense systems. Deactivated. Report to Earth Command, Amina said quietly. We honored. The pledge. Ready to transmit, Malik replied. In the pavilion, the translucent walls shuddered as the Alithian system sensed the change. Across the chamber, counselors exchanged luminous glances. The elder's form glowed in cool jade. Earth has laid aside its hammer. We recognize your gesture, and thus we will meet you halfway. A cheer of crystalline tones rippled through the gathering, and human voices rose in applause. Li Wei allowed himself a small, relieved smile, while Solon's translator implant crackled happily, but the fragile warmth was short-lived. From the heavens came a distant roar, like the planet itself groaning under a cosmic burden. Outside the pavilion's windows, once dormant starships of the Alithian fleet, a half-dozen sleek cruisers slipped from the orbital docks. Their hulls gleamed with iridescent light as they assumed combat posture, engines flaring to life. Seshel's voice cut through the jubilation. They suspected treachery. They intend to provide their own escort. Li Wei's heart pounded. They'll think we reneged on our promise. In orbit, the Leviathan's command deck shook as Captain Cade felt the subspace ripples of Alithian ships activating. She leaned forward. They're launching fighters, she said, voice shot with tension. We're caught between two trust tests. Suresh scrolled through the tactical bays. Our scanners pick up no weapons on the Alithian ships, only sensor pods. But their speed suggests they're armed with vector point reactors. If they slip past our point defenses, He let the thought trail off. Amina turned to her cum. Panel. Ambassadors, do we stand down the planetary defenses entirely? Or risk igniting another misunderstanding? Solon's reply crackled through the static. We need to control the narrative. Have the Elythians halt their escort promised them. We will not interfere, that our presence above is purely peaceful. We'll request that all planetary ships remain docked during talks. On it, Amina said. She keyed a signal, a global hailing frequency. 3 pulsed beams of icy white light shone down from the Leviathan like cosmic beacons dot below. The Elythian cruisers paused. Triumphal herald horn tones reverberated through their hulls as the council signaled them to stand down. One by one, their engines dimmed to silent shimmer, and they drifted back toward their docks. Inside the pavilion, the elder's form brightened in relief. He stepped forward, crystalline robes fluttering. Earth Command shows restraint, and Elythia obeys. Now we may speak without fear. Li Wei exchanged a look with Solon. They had navigated Earth's weapons, Elythian suspicion, and 1,000 unspoken fears. And yet, despite every misstep, they had reached this moment, a fragile armistice. Under twin suns dot, as the 2 ambassadors and the Elythian council returned to the central dais, Solon allowed herself a small, hopeful breath. Real work of building trust, forging alliances, and weaving the first threads of galactic peace had only just begun. The calm that followed the stand-down order was fragile as spun glass. Within the grand pavilion, Ambassador Yara Solon and Ambassador-designate Li Wei settled back onto the crystalline bench, exchanging a glance that carried both relief and lingering tension. Outside, Elythian delegates murmured among themselves in melodious undertones, their bioluminescent veins pulsing softly as they digested the unprecedented display of vulnerability from Earth's Leviathan in orbit. High above, Captain Amina Cade watched the live feed with hawk eyes. The holographic display in her command center showed the Leviathan drifting inert, systems humming at minimal power. No weapons aimed, no shields active. A testament to restraint, yet also a potential invitation for disaster. She tapped at the console, routing extra sensor sweeps toward the planet's surface to ensure no hidden threats slipped past. Sensor sweep complete, reported Ensign Moloch. No hostile crafts detected within 60,000 kilometers. Atmospheric conditions nominal. Keep it that way, Amina replied. Nothing more. They need to know we respect the ceasefire. Back in the pavilion, Sashal Elethia's chief liaison hovered forward, its skin rippling in gentle waves. A violet glow. We thanked Earth for its gesture, it intoned, each syllable a chime of sincerity. In trust, we seek to share our knowledge and learn of your world's wonders. Solon's translator implant fed her the meaning in a rush. Of warmth, she bowed her head. We come in peace and friendship. Tell your council we wish to understand your culture, your science, and your hopes. A ripple of excitement swept through the chamber. Yet even as chairs were drawn and data tablets distributed, a low tremor shook the pavilion's floor. Solon reached out instinctively, steadying herself on the cool crystalline armrest. Outside, across the city of Elysira, a distant thunder rolled through the emerald plains. Far above, where thin clouds drifted, radar nets detected a sudden flux. A rogue cluster of meteoroids fragments from a distant belt had been nudged by solar winds onto a collision course with Arcturus V, I. in the Leviathan's command deck. The alarm klaxon sounded. Captain Cade spun from the view screen to her tactical officer. Report! Lieutenant Suresh's brow creased. Multiple objects, ranging from 10 to 50 meters in diameter. Estimated entry in 2 minutes. They'll vaporize in the atmosphere, but at that size, they'll still rain deadly shrapnel across the city. The captain's jaw clenched. We promised protection. Engage point defense lasers. Target all inbound bodies. Permission to fire? Malik asked, voice taut. Amina hesitated only a heartbeat. We're not firing on Olithians, we're saving lives. Authorize. With that, the Leviathan's dorsal arrays bloomed to life. Emergent lasers traced arcs across the sky, searing the first meteoroid into a brilliant column of blue-white plasma. One by one, the cluster disintegrated. When the final blast faded, only harmless dust remained, drifting down like luminescent. Snow dot below, the Elythian Council's chambers lit up in awe. The translucent walls, previously tinted cerulean, now glowed with radiant relief as the pavilion's sensors confirmed no impact. Seshel turned to Solon, its form pulsing with something akin to gratitude. You defended us when our shields lay dormant. In orbit, Amina allowed herself a breath of relief, but her gaze drifted to the hull plating on the view screen. Ember scorch marks where laser fire had concentrated. The Leviathan planet killer, fearsome deterrent, had just acted as guardian. Moments later, a secure channel crackled through. Earth Command's voice drifted in. Confirm target destruction. Report any collateral. Cluster neutralized, Amina answered. No collateral damage. No civilian casualties. Back on the planet, Li Wei rose and addressed the assembled delegates, his voice echoing in both Elythian harmonics and common tongue. Today, Earth's guardians became protectors, proving that power need not oppress, but can preserve. May our dialogue be guided by this spirit. An elder counselor, whose translucent skin glowed in swirls of emerald and violet, stepped forward. In Elythian culture, movement signified deep emotion. This elder's stride was deliberate, regal. As she reached the dais, her form stuttered with unspoken relief and newfound respect. Earth has shown the purity of its intent, she declared. We have long believed that diplomacy requires the opening of hands, not the tightening of fists. Today, you have opened yours to save our people. A hush fell, then a wave of enthusiastic tones swept through the chamber. Discussions which had been tentative now unfurled with eager intensity. Data glyphs floated into view. The Elythian bioengineering. Archives, star charts of unexplored nebulae, philosophical treatises on cosmic harmony. In turn, Solon and Lei Wei offered holographic dossiers of Earth's history, our triumphs, our errors, our decades of struggle toward unity. As the delegates leaned into animated debate, Solon slipped away to the observation gallery overlooking the city. The twin suns had dipped fully below the horizon, and Arcturus the seventh night sky was ablaze with unfamiliar constellations. The Leviathan's silhouette drifted far above, a silent sentinel now bathed in starlight rather than weapon glow. Li Wei joined her, folding his arms. I've never been so proud and so terrified in all my career, he admitted. Solon looked back at him, eyes shining. We were on the brink of oblivion, both their world and ours. And yet, in that moment, we chose life. Below, fireworks of bioluminescent spores erupted from the city gardens in celebration, drifting upward like ethereal lanterns. Elythian children, their parents guiding them by the hand, watched with wonder. High above, the Leviathan's point defense. Arrays powered down, their hum subsiding to a gentle whisper. Captain Cade watched the spores drift across her view screen, marveling that the weapons she commanded could create such safety, and that might itself could yield trust. Throughout the pavilion, the Elythian and human delegations exchanged promises. To form educational exchanges, to collaborate on planetary ecology, to chart the neighboring systems beyond Arcturus. Every proposal once looming improbabilities now seemed radiant with potential. And as the last ember of that twin sun sunset vanished, two civilizations stood at the threshold of a new era. In the gulf between weapons and words, they had discovered a shared truth. that the greatest power in the universe is the courage to protect, to trust, and to hope together. The dawn on Arcturus 7 was unlike any other in recorded history. Twin suns crested the horizon, one rose like a molten pearl, the other a burnished copper disk, and together they cast a prismatic glow over the crystalline city of Elysira. The air pulsed with the planet's magnetic hum, now synchronized with the soft rhythms of the ISS Leviathan, whose hull glimmered at the edge of the atmosphere, no longer a weapon of war, but a beacon of unity. Below, in the grand pavilions, central chamber, humans and Elythians gathered for the first joint council. The dais, once reserved for Elythian elders alone, now curved gently around a semicircular human delegation stand. Between them, a holographic star map floated serenely, its points of light marking not borders or battle zones, but research stations, educational enclaves, and shared cultural outposts planned for construction. Ambassador Yara Solon rose, her translator implant smoothing her words into the council's harmonics. "Today we stand not as conquerors or supplicants," she began, voice steady, "but as partners. We will share our science-medical nanomachines to cure diseases, fusion core designs to power your cities, and we will learn from your bioengineering arts, which have healed wounded ecosystems across Arcturus 7. Together, we will build a network of knowledge that spans the stars." Behind her, Ambassador-designate Li Wei unfurled the first charter of the Earth-Elythia Partnership, an intricate document woven from Elythian light ink and Terran nanofiber. It pledged equitable resource exchange, joint scientific ventures, and mutual defense only against existential threats, never against each other. Counselor Thessel, the elder who had first challenged Earth's display of force, stepped forward. Her crystalline form reflected the twin suns, each facet gleaming as she spoke. "In our history, we have sheltered our planet with barriers of light and stone. Now, we open our gates to you, Earth's emissaries, not because we fear your power, but because we trust your hearts. Let this charter bind us to a destiny of shared stewardship." As the representatives signed the charter, each signature a cascade of bioluminescent glyphs, the pavilion's walls brightened, sending tendrils of light curling skyward in celebration. Outside, the city's spires tuned themselves to a single, resonant frequency, and the entire metropolis, every lamp, every street, every bridge glowed in solidarity. On the observation deck overlooking the landing field, Captain Amina Cade watched the scene unfold through reinforced transparasteel. The Leviathan's landing struts, once poised for war, now rested firmly on the polished bioglass runway. Elythian engineers, their veins alight with welcoming warmth, approached the ship's hull, placing delicate conduits to transfer bioenergetic power into the Leviathan's fusion reactors, an act symbolizing the merging of two technologies, once thought incompatible. Solon and Lai Wei joined Amina on the deck, just as the first delegation of Elythian children, wearing wreaths of luminous flora, approached. One bold child, whose hair shimmered like spun silver, offered Amina, woven crown of living vines. "For the guardian of the sky," the child intoned in perfect common. "Thank you for saving us." Amina's stern features softened into a genuine smile. She accepted the crown and placed it atop her helmet. "And thank you for teaching us what trust truly means." Behind them, the Leviathan's armory bays opened not to deploy weapons, but to deploy scientists, doctors, and engineers. Robotic drones rolled out crates of medical supplies. Agricultural pods descended gently into Elythian care domes. A banner unfurled from the ship's prow, reading in 3 languages Elythian, Common and Martian pictogram. "In unity, we rise." As the twin suns climbed higher, their light refracting through the pavilion's translucent roof, Ambassador Solon addressed the gathered crowd one last time. "Let today mark not just the birth of an alliance, but the promise of exploration, guided by compassion. We ventured here with shields down and weapons silent, and in doing so, discovered that the greatest force in the universe is the willingness to stand unarmed, shoulder to shoulder. The crowd erupted in harmonious applause, Elythian choral tones blending with human cheers. In that moment, as technology and biology, warship and biocrystal, human and alien, converged under the brilliant dawn, two civilizations sealed a covenant to venture forth together into the cosmos, not as conquerors or rivals, but as guardians of life itself. And so, beneath the prismatic light of twin suns, a new era began, one born from the ashes of suspicion, tempered by trials of trust, and destined to shine across the galaxies for ages to come.